Welcome folks, this is Wear and Tear, yet another YouTube author and gear review channel. Today I want to talk briefly again about blackout preparations and emergency radios. When it comes to emergency radios, it's kind of frustrating. A lot of the stuff you get is pretty pricey, like up to 40 euros, 50 euros, and still not very good. This is a typical example for an emergency radio. It comes with those solar panels. This one is actually quite good. It has a large solar panel surface. It has the hand crank, a small hand crank, and it's a normal FM radio. It has pretty decent light, COP LEDs, and a little thrower light in there. And yeah, big COP LED field. This one is particularly interesting. It also takes AAA batteries, which are the worst batteries, but at least it can take them in addition to the internal battery. But then it comes to things like that. Outdated micro USB. Of course, yes, it has a power bank function, but is that any good? It's for sure charging very slowly. The antenna is retractable. That is typically for many of those emergency radios. So this is a standard emergency radio. It's fine. They run for 30 to 40 bucks. That's not terrible, but the build quality is questionable. I mean, there's nothing water resistant or drop resistant about it. As you can already tell, those knobs will break off during hard use. They're just in the way. It's just, this is just an example for many emergency radios and their weaknesses, and this is one of the better cheap ones. Now, recently I discovered Libo GoGo. They do emergency radios exclusively, and they seem to manufacture their own, not rebrand something generic. So I was interested, and I got this one. This also has a Bluetooth function. Other than that, it's functionally identical to this, but it's covered or rubber cover. It seems to be water resistant. It comes with a mount for a tripod mount, and also with an additional device where you can mount it to any pole or whatever, or bicycle handlebars. And then that, a small solar panel, a hand crank that is a little bit more serious. I like that. The retractable antenna, USB-C, which is behind a quite good rubber cover. This one is actually decent. USB-C. So other than that, yeah, it has a good flashlight. It has a red-blue strobe, an emergency button. And stuff like that. This one didn't properly work because it charges with the hand crank and with solar very slowly, of course. But it didn't work with the USB-C. There was some defect with that unit, so they sent me a replacement. And this one is the one I want to focus on. This one actually has DAB+, so digital radio, which is awesome. Gives you much clearer sound. Also, of course, Bluetooth 5.0 functionality. Other than that, functionally identical. A decent flashlight, also a floodlight, even with different light colors. So neutral, cold white, and warm white. It's a little bit of a luxury function. A super tough, rubberized housing. Also a very good hand crank. I like that. This hand crank is actually kind of useful and feels solid. Very small solar panel, smaller even than the cheaper one. But we come to that in a second. Libo GoGo is upfront about what you can do with those charging methods. It says the solar panel, basically, you need 5 hours of good solar charging to power the radio for about 15 minutes. Now, maybe with this one, large solar panel, it works a little bit faster, although that's by no means guaranteed. Maybe the internal electronics are worse. Now, you can also, after 5 hours solar charging, you can work the integrated torch, doesn't specify which one, for about an hour. And the hand crank, well, to recharge the radio, extend the hand crank and turn it in either direction. For optimal charging, turn the crank at 120 to 150 rounds per minute. So that's 2 to 2.5 times a second. So 30 minutes of turning can power the radio for about 15 minutes. That would be a ridiculous waste of calories in an emergency situation. So Libo GoGo is upfront also on the Amazon page that solar and hand crank is really a last ditch effort. You basically are supposed to charge it with USB-C. It has a 4000 milliamps lithium polymer battery. And here's my beef with this radio. First of all, the design philosophy. I like it. Rubberized, solid. It's a Bluetooth functionality. It's a good radio. It has two 7-watt speakers in there. It's a decent radio. Has good Bluetooth sounds. It sounds really good on the radio. Has good reception. So this thing is really fun to have. For example, at a campsite when you go to the lake. This thing is not fun to have, and also it doesn't look cool, right? It will break. This one is much more solid. I did do a water resistance test on it. As you can see in the footage, the result is it is water resistant, but I had a little bit of water behind the display. Did not hamper the function in any way, shape, or form. What I also like is, of course, the mount here. Very practical. Played around with it a little bit, and also with the little adapter that they included. Pretty practical. So this machine does one thing right in the philosophy. It's something that you actually want to take with you on a trip, that you actually want to use on a daily basis or more often, because it's a useful, speaker. So in case the emergency strikes, you will be familiar with that device, and you will have it around. You will know where it is. Like with this device, if the emergency ever strikes, you probably don't know where it is because you didn't use it in years and you didn't want to use it in years. Big difference. I have the philosophy, don't just buy stuff, have it laying around, never use it, and then don't know where to find it and how to use it in case you really need it. But buy stuff that you actually want to use, that has a place in your gear setup. What I like is the thermometer. This is a useful piece of information. Don't need a compass or anything like that, but the temperature can be a useful piece of information. When you stay in a tent, for example, and it's getting really cold or really hot, it's just useful to have that info. The flashlight, a good blinky function. The alarm. Sorry for that. The alarm is only triggered when you push this button that is very recessed for a longer time. Now, my beef with this radio is the battery. The music is good. Very good. Now, Bluetooth. Okay, my beef with this is the battery, because it's 4000 milliamp is okay, but it's a lithium polymer battery. They have higher energy density, but they tend to self-discharge, and they tend to have a lower lifespan than, let's for example say 18650 cell, okay, or 21700 or 26650. Those cells have a longer lifespan. They're more resistant to extreme temperatures. Lithium polymer batteries, well, they have higher energy density, they give off more energy, but they don't last as long. Now, Libo GoGo, I looked at their Amazon page. They said they specifically designed this battery solution. It also comes with a reset button, so you can disconnect the battery, because you can't access the battery anywhere. You can't even open this thing. Now, with this cheap one, at least I have the option to insert AAA batteries. Also, the water will like to enter here. It's horrible, yeah. Anyways, so the battery, I would love if they have like two 18650s with 2500 milliamps in there, 5000 milliamps in total. And if you somehow make that accessible, maybe create a tube that you unscrew and then have the batteries accessible. Maybe even have a secondary battery option where you can power it with horrible AAA batteries or AA batteries. There are solutions like that out there. So I'm not entirely happy with the battery solution on the Libo GoGo. And anyways, the company is great. They just sent me a replacement. I also told them I will do a review. Maybe that motivated them to send me the upgrade model. I don't know. But I like a company that stands behind their products. And those products are definitely something that I'll use at the beach. I'll use on a, yeah, I use more often. It's not just something to have in the emergency kit and collect dust. But it is it's not perfect either. I want to be upfront. I have not yet found the perfect emergency radio, but this one is definitely way better than most of the stuff that you will find on Amazon for, let's say, under €100. Now, anyways, if that video motivated you to check out your emergency preparations and continue with them for blackout preparations, then this was already good. If you have any comments on emergency radios, please write them. This was Wear and Tear, over and out.